Hello, booby chatters! Jiggle, jiggle, jiggle! Welcome to the Booby Chat podcast. This is the brand new mental health podcast where we talk about all things life and mental health related with my jugs. So before we do get started, let me briefly introduce myself. My name is Sade, otherwise known as the Black Cat in the poetry world, and I am a spoken word artist, writer, performer, singer, songwriter, and a general person trying to make it through this game called life. This is my 10th Booby Chat podcast. Woo, woo, woo. Number 10. Woo, woo. So for a treat, it's a little bit more scared. I'll be holding it out here. Now, before we do go into today's topic, I had some trolls on my videos. Now, if you are a Booby Chat subscriber and you do see a troll, please put them in their place. And for you trolls out here, this is what we're working with, okay? That's what we're working with. Anyway, so in today's podcast, I'm bored. So yeah, in today's podcast, we are going to talk about rejection and, just rejection in general. Now, when it comes to rejection, we've all been rejected at some point in our lives. Obviously, some people have experienced more rejection than others. So there's different ways you can be rejected. Of course, you can have a crush, you ask them out, they say no, I don't like you. You can be rejected from a job. You can be, you can be rejected, from maybe an application you did to get into like a dance school, for example. You can be rejected by friends. You can be rejected when you try to cuddle your partner and they aren't in the mood. And of course, there are deeper forms of rejection, such as being rejected from your family, being disowned from your family due to the fact your family is dysfunctional, due to the fact that maybe your family has, for example, maybe your family has disowned you because you have done something that goes against their family values and brought shame on them. You can be, so there's many different forms of rejection, but it's everyone's, especially if you're a teenager, rejection is some people's worst fear. Now, there are some mental health conditions where rejection is a really big deal. So, for example, in borderline personality disorder, the fear of rejection is so strong, it can lead someone to do anything possible to avoid that happening to them. It's very, very strong, and it makes them just feel completely terrified. So that's just one example of, how rejection can be quite severe. Now I want to talk about, why rejection hurts so frigging bad. Of course, rejection hurts the ego. Many of us are very identified with our egos. Of course, I call this soul man syndrome, where you reject a man and he starts to send you abuse, because the male ego is more fragile than the woman's ego. But again, that's just my opinion. But so soul man syndrome, when a woman rejects you, rejection just makes you feel awful. It makes you feel really bad. There's actually scientific studies that that show that rejection activates certain parts in the brain that actually activate pain receptors that lead to physical pain. So rejection is extremely, extremely painful for us to go through. And of course, it's also embarrassing and humiliating. That's the truth of rejection. Now, I want to talk about how we can handle rejection. Now, the unconscious way of handling rejection, which is something that I have done a lot in my life, and I'm sure many people have, is self-rejection. So someone rejects you and you now go ahead and reject yourself. You now dislike yourself. You now see yourself as worthless, as a weirdo, something wrong with you. You now refuse to socialize. You don't go out. You refuse to date. you become a misogynist, you become a misandrist, that's a woman who hates men. You literally don't try to work, you just completely, drop all your dreams and give up on yourself. Now that is the worst way to handle rejection, but of course, because society has also externalized and has us take all our worth from our counterparts, our relationships, and this, that, the third, it's almost normal for us that to be our reaction and in fact to be our response to rejection. Now, the conscious way of handling rejection and the best way to handle it, first of all, is to, do not ever self-reject. Now, if you are someone who self-rejects when you experience rejection, this means you don't love yourself. And that is just a cold, hard truth. And I'll tell you why. Think of something that you love a lot. Okay, it could be your pet cat, could be your boyfriend, your girlfriend, your mom, your dad, whatever person, right? Think of someone you love so much, that's just so amazing. You adore them, your pet cat, your pet dog, your pet snake, whatever. Something you love a lot, right? Now, if someone was to say, do you know what? That person, your cat, your dog, is just worthless. I hate it. I hate your dog. I hate your cat. Fuck your cat. If someone wants to say that, would you then be like, oh my God, I actually hate my cat now? Would you then cash your cat out, reject your cat? Would you hate your parent because some random person told you they were trash? Would you hate your best friend because one person told you your best friend's a piece of trash? So this is the whole entire point. But the thing is, if we reject ourselves, we abandon ourselves. Okay, so the main point here, what I'm trying to say is, if you love an object, if you love something very much, no matter what someone tells you about that object, about that thing, about whatever it is, because you love it, it doesn't matter. You do not care because you love it. And this is why it's very important to have the same attitude towards ourselves, particularly in rejection. So I want to say, just in terms of things that I do when I go through it, is I say, I'm worthy of love. I love myself. I find myself beautiful. I find myself gorgeous. I find myself intelligent. I find myself intellectual. These are all parts of my self-concept. So how I see myself. Now, how you see yourself is extremely important, particularly when it comes to managing things like rejection. How you see yourself is the ultimate. Is the absolute ultimate. And I could name many very successful people that have experienced rejection, failure, setbacks, had no one believe in them, but because they had a strong self-concept, a strong self-belief, and a very strong self-love, they reached heights of success that they probably never even thought themselves was possible. Okay, so my closing points in terms of handling rejection is, do you love yourself? Okay, my closing point is, does rejection cause you to self-abandon yourself and now see yourself as worthless? Does rejection cause you to go into defeatist behaviors such as giving up and not following your dreams? Do you internalize everyone else's perception of you, or do you have a strong self-concept and a strong self-love that will not allow in other people's negativity because you understand rejection is a part of life? Failure is also a part of life, but it's what we choose to do with these parts of life that makes us, breaks us, or defines us. Okay, so that was today's BoobyChat talking about rejection. Again, check out my other podcast if you would like. I've talked about Thursday sex. I've talked about generalizing, friendships, and a Christmas Santa outfit that was really popular. I've talked about inferiority complexes and jealousy. Everything's covered, my darlings. So, for now, booby chatters, jiggle, jiggle, jiggle. Thank you for watching and have a very good day.